And when COVID happened, I just knew. I was like, this is an opportunity here. Like, I'm going to go all in. So I literally took my life savings and put it all into crypto.
This is Danielle Lukins, crypto educator, founder of Crypto Crush, and one of the sharpest voices pushing Bitcoin and crypto awareness forward in Bali. In this episode, we talk about life in Bali.
Never Googled Bali, so didn't know any of the areas.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find a villa in Koh Samui that I wanted. And I found one in Bali.
How she got into crypto.
So I had to try and convince my dad to buy this like spooky digital money that is like on the internet.
And what she sees coming next for Bitcoin.
So I do think that the 4-year cycle that everyone is used to is no longer relevant.
If you're not already following Danielle, check her out at Crypto Crush Show. Her breakdowns are clear, practical, and built for real people trying to understand the future of money. And if you're new here, this is the Bali Bites podcast where we talk real freedom, financial, physical, and mental. No fluff, no bullshit. Let's get into it. How long have you been in Bali for?
I've been here for like 18 months now.
Yeah, 18 months. And why Bali?
Honestly, super random. I was in Australia. I had a one-way ticket from the UK, landed in Oz. And you can only stay there for 3 months if you're on a tourist visa.
Really?
And it ran out. I didn't want to go back to the UK. So I was like, okay, I'll just get a random ticket somewhere. Flipped a coin between Thailand and Bali. And landed in Bali.
You had never been here before?
Never even Googled it.
That's crazy.
Did you actually flip a coin? Well, it was like, I was looking at Airbnbs, and I wanted to go either to Koh Samui or Bali.
Mm-hmm.
Never Googled Bali, so didn't know any of the areas.
Really?
And I couldn't find a villa in Koh Samui that I wanted, and I found one in Bali, so I just booked it. But it ended up being in Nusa Dua, which is in the middle of nowhere. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we went out there.
We went there.
Pretty beaches, but yeah.
Oh, beautiful. And I was there for 1 month and I was like, there is nothing here. Where am I at? Like, where am I meant to be? Mm-hmm. And then I got a message from someone who does a networking dinner here. And he knew that I was in crypto and was like, hey, like, come on down. Like, we'd love to have you as a speaker. So I went up to Canggu for the first time and I was like, oh, this is where it's happening. Yeah. Okay, I get it. But yeah, totally random. Like, never even Googled Bali, didn't know anything.
That's crazy. I did so much research before because I came from LA and I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. And I had been saying it for so long, but I couldn't figure out where I was going to go. And I kept looking for, crypto friendly places. So I'm like, okay, a beach place, crypto friendly, wherever, and this was lower on the list of crypto friendly places. Mm-hmm. Like there's Costa Rica or where, different places where it's a big deal. And I even like looked, was there a Bitcoin ATM somewhere on the island, and I was like, I couldn't figure out. And I just really like the aesthetic here and that there was a lot of people trying to do stuff. And I was like, I'll just give it a try and see if I like it. I was supposed to come for 3 months and ended up, I'm going on 9 now. So,
wow. Yeah.
So I love it here. But I didn't realize that there was so much of a like crypto or Bitcoin community.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea. I just remember rocking up to my gym and I just saw everyone's laptops and it was like everyone had crypto charts up and I was like, whoa, okay, like this is crazy that just everyone's like trading, whether it's like, I don't know, Forex or crypto. Mm-hmm. And then there's obviously just a huge digital nomad hub of, people trying to make it online. So that's what initially attracted me to stay here longer because the network was so good here, not just in crypto, but outside. So that's initially why I wanted to stay and be here full time. Yeah.
Now, how long have you been into Bitcoin or crypto?
So I originally bought my first Bitcoin when I was 16. So that was like coming on 8 years ago now. And Yeah, it was, I couldn't even get it myself. I had to convince my dad, because you have to be over 18 to buy crypto. So I had to try and convince my dad to buy this like spooky digital money that is like on the internet. And my dad's of the older generation, like he's like 72 now.
Oh, wow.
So he's like,
I think it's like the same age as my dad.
Yeah. I'm more of a traditional mindset. So I was like trying to teach him about like this electronic money, which even I didn't really know what it was, but someone who I worked with at the time had like 5 or 6 Bitcoin. He was kind of a secret Amazon millionaire. And I trusted him, and he was like, you need to get into this. If you're into tech and if you're into entrepreneurship, you need to understand Bitcoin. Go buy some, do some research. So that's how I got into it.
So had you convinced your dad, or was...
Yeah. So we opened up a Coinbase account and, just bought my first couple $100.
Yep.
Bought a bit of XRP, and then bought this like altcoin called Electronium that doesn't exist anymore. Like this, like an old coin from like 3 cycles ago. But yeah, that was like at the top of the market in 2017. So from that point, it ended up going into a huge...
Well, how much was the Bitcoin? Like, where was it at in price-wise when you bought your first one?
Honestly, can't remember too much now, but it was near the peak. So I think it was around $10,000, like something like that.
Okay. So that was like... That's like half, because what the peak was like 20?
17. Yeah.
That's interesting. And then did you ride it all the way back down? Were you buying all the way down, or were you like, oh, I screwed this up? Or...
Yeah, so I ended up getting the bug for it. But again, I'm like in school at this point, and I've got like 2 directions. People are like, you need to go to uni and you need to think about like getting a career and a 9-to-5 and all this kind of stuff. And I was focused on school, but during school time, because I knew that uni wasn't for me, and like I just knew that I wasn't meant for the 9-to-5. I was doing other stuff on the side. So I was teaching myself about Facebook ads and social media. So I was making like a side hustle on the side, trying to start my own social media agency. That was when like the big boom of SMMA was around. And then I ended up, looking into all sorts of different stuff. I went to a real estate conference. There's a big guy in the UK called Samuel Leeds. I went to his workshop, and I sat next to these 2 guys, and they had their laptop up and they were trading Forex. And at the time, I'd never seen like actual candlestick charts at that point. I was like, whoa, what the hell are these guys doing? So I asked them, I was like, what are you doing? They were like, oh, we're trading currencies. I was like, can you make money with that? They were like, yeah. I was like, cool, can you teach me? And they were like, yeah. So then I got into like Forex.
Can you explain Forex? What that like?
It's foreign exchange is what it means. So you can make money based on trading different currency pairs. So for example, the pair that I used to trade was GBP JPY. So that's the pound against the yen. And through the exchanges, if you can read charts and technical analysis, you can see when it's going down and when it's going up, and then you can make and scalp trades based on the actual exchange rate. So that's where I learned how to like read charts and things like that. And then that brought me back to crypto later on, because I could see that charting Bitcoin and charting Forex was the same. So then I got back into crypto, sort of mainly when the COVID crash happened. Because at that point in time, this is when I'm like 18, 19 now, I was working for a social media agency, and I had clients on the side, and was just like generating money and like hustling, and I had like a pot of cash there, which was decent. And when COVID happened, I just knew. I was like, this is an opportunity here. Like, I'm going to go all in. So I literally took my life savings and put it all into crypto.
Right on the crash.
Yeah. Yep. So I traded XRP, because XRP was trading pretty much between 20 and 40 cents. So I just buy at 20, sell at 40, buy at 20, sell at 40. Because XRP is very good at going sideways, as probably a lot of people know. So I was trading that. And then just generated more cash that way, sold a lot of it, redistributed that back into ETH when it was like $400, Cardano when it was at like 10 cents, and then Bitcoin when it was around like 10, 12K. So that's how I really got into crypto. And then decentralized finance, learning about that and smart contracts, that's where it changed everything. And I was like, this is going to change the world.
Yeah. I've done some trading, started to make some decent, money there, and then I was like, every time I get screwed over. I think just when I think I know what I'm doing, I like screw it up. Like, yeah, I'm too afraid to trade. I would rather just keep buying some Bitcoin and then holding it. Like, it's just so much easier just to buy and hold for me.
Yeah, I think it is easier to have like a long-term portfolio and a long-term perspective. That's more where I'm in the camp now. So I trade for fun and I like it and I enjoy it. But the reality is the people that dollar cost average and have that long-term perspective and are wanting to accumulate crypto over the next 10 to 20 years are the ones that are probably going to end up much better off than the people that are, day trading.
And I think, and I'd like to hear your perspective on this, but I think it's much harder now because it's before you're dealing with a bunch of people, other crypto guys or whatever. Now the big boys have jumped in, and now you're dealing with AI traders. And with the market manipulation or whatever's happening, I don't even know what's happening. I feel like no one knows what's going on.
The changing of hands is happening. So Bitcoin is an institutional asset now. I see Bitcoin as a traditional financial asset now.
Okay.
Like I think there's a reason why the OGs that were buying between 2011 and 2013 are selling off right now, because Bitcoin's gone from, this decentralized monetary system away from the banks, away from traditional finance. Like, that's the whole point why they got in the first place, to have something that was their own and different, and they can transact anonymously and all that kind of stuff. Now, because institutions have jumped in and traditional finance have jumped in, it's just moved to a commodity, essentially. It kind of acts, it is digital gold. And institutions are now in, and it's an institutional asset. So you are right. It's not the same as trading it 5 years ago, because that was driven by retail. This whole thing's driven by institutions and smart money. Yeah. So you've got to...
You're not going to outplay them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You need to understand how smart money moves. And also, it's very intrinsically linked with the macroeconomic environment, massively linked with liquidity. So Can
you explain that a little bit more for anyone who might... I think our audience is like very general, so they might not know a lot of these terms or what that exactly means. Mm-hmm. So
they're trying to get into crypto.
Yeah.
So they're like watching it to kind of understand it a little bit more.
So what would the macro environment be? Like, what are these things like really that are driving it that you think?
So the main thing with Bitcoin and what we've back tested is that Bitcoin is now linked with liquidity 83% of the time. So liquidity is just how much money is readily available in the market, and how the economy works is you go through expansion and the opposite of that, which is extraction, right? So what we've been in the last couple of years is what we call quantitative tightening, where actually liquidity is being taken out of the market. And that's why Bitcoin at the moment has had that, relatively decent correction, and it hasn't performed as well as it has in previous years, because the macro environment is tight. What is now going to happen is the opposite of that.
Didn't that just happen or being announced like 2 days ago or yesterday or
1st of December. Yeah. So quantitative tightening has stopped now.
Yeah.
So now what's going to end up happening is there's going to be the opposite of that, which is an expansion. So there's going to be more liquidity available to be put into the market, of which eventually it will end up in Bitcoin. And
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So the reality is that the money printer is going to be turned on, and that money's got to go somewhere, and eventually it ends up in Bitcoin.
Now, if that's the case, right, now over the next 3 months or however, what do you think, 6 months, a year? Like, how long do you think it's going to start coming in? And if that's the case, doesn't that kind of change our whole, what everyone thinks are the cycles, because the cycle should be, if we're going by all the other cycles, it's supposed to be ending now, right?
Yeah. So I do think that the 4-year cycle that everyone is used to is no longer relevant because of the institutional money that is in the market. So they own about 8% of the supply of Bitcoin right now. Give it another 2-3 years, it'll be 15 to 20%, right? So that's a big chunk of the market that they're going to have a foothold over. And they're the ones with the money. So they're the ones that are able to, manipulate the price. And the way that institutions work is they go off of liquidity cycles, which is a 65-month liquidity cycle, the expansion and the extraction of liquidity from, the Fed and the global economy. So they're working on a much larger scale. A lot of people are focused on what's crypto doing.
Yeah.
But what you actually need to focus on is what's everyone else doing. What's the global economy doing? And that's how you are going to win in crypto longer term.
So you think, because I've seen a lot of people now are like, well, it's looking closer to the business cycle that if you match it up, that it's actually, it did match up with the first, and now there's like a longer cycle for this particular one. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah. So, I mean, the global liquidity cycle, the business cycle, it's very similar.
Yeah.
So the business cycle is essentially the same because businesses perform better when there's more, cheap cash available, which interest rates are down. It is cheaper to borrow. That means that they can expand their business. Business goes and they make more money. And then when the Fed does the opposite and they're tightening, that's when it becomes more difficult because borrowing becomes more expensive. They need to do huge layoffs. So the business cycle and the liquidity cycle are basically the same thing. So, yeah.
Now, I've also seen people are like, oh, look at the M2 money supply. We're going right along with this. And then all of a sudden it deviates from that. And then everyone's like, well, actually, it's looking more like it's closer to the business cycle. It's like everyone's playing, Monday morning football coach or whatever that is. Like they're trying to explain it the next day after it changed. Like everyone makes their prediction. They all try to explain, this is what it's looking like, so this is what it's going to do. And then Bitcoin just does whatever the fuck it wants to do. And it's like nuts. And I feel like nobody knows what's going to happen.
It's true. And I think we'd be silly to sit here and go, yeah, I know exactly where Bitcoin's going to go in the next 6 months or 12 months or 5 years. No one knows, right? And you got to roll with the punches. So it's been a tough market. It's been difficult in the last year, but you just got to roll with the punches and you got to get as much data as possible. And what you're saying about the M2, completely right. Like we were tracking the M2 and now it's deviated. But when you backtest it, it's 83% of the time it correlates. So the other 17% of the time, it's going to deviate. So at the moment, yes, it's deviating, but that's that 17% of the time, right?
It's crazy.
And the reason why we have deviated is for a few different reasons. Number one, the liquidation crash that we just had because of the oracles and, whether you want to look into it and go down the theories of what actually happened that day.
The October 10 and then...
Yeah. At the end of the day, you had $20 billion of liquidations. That pulls us loads of liquidity out of the market, right? And it takes time to get that back. All the leverage traders wrecked. Everyone wrecked.
I got wrecked.
Yeah,
everyone I know got wrecked. Every single person, yeah.
Exactly. So with that, of course, you're going to have a downturn from that point because you're going to have major cascading liquidations. You're going to have an unwinding of some form. And also what people don't realize is that fund managers have a 1 to 2 year timeline. It's coming up to 1 year of the ETFs. So fund managers are looking, okay, how do we reallocate, right? So that's the reason why you're seeing outflows for Bitcoin right now is they may be readjusting, reallocating the portfolios. That's another reason. So you've got outflows from institutions plus leverage traders getting wrecked. Of course, it's going to not correlate with M2 because that's a specific thing that's happening in crypto, not something that's happening globally, which is why stocks have gone up while Bitcoin's gone down.
I have seen like some, what is it? It might have been Colin Talks Crypto, maybe one of those. He was one of the guys who I was watching with the M2 money supply. He was I think every video he was showing was about M2 money supply.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, I might be mistaken, but I think that he had shown a chart from the previous cycle that showed that we were going along with it. And then as soon as the top happened, we dropped out. The M2 money supply had continued up and that Bitcoin did go down, which that kind of made me a little bit scared that maybe that's what's happening now again. Do you think we are going to keep going, or do you think that was the top of this cycle, this mini cycle or whatever? Yeah.
Where we are right now, I need more data to give me the idea on whether that was the top or not, because of the fact that Bitcoin and crypto is driven so much by liquidity, and we've just gone through a liquidity crisis in crypto specifically. But also the big elephant in the room is the yields. The Bank of Japan have just increased interest rates, which also means that the yen carry trade is unwinding. That's a huge thing that could cause a liquidity crisis, of which then, yes, likelihood would be that we're in a bear market. The opposite end of that is what's going to happen over the next 2 months. Are we going to get an interest rate cut in December for the US? Is the dollar...
like it? That's what, in almost 90% chance now? Is that what?
Yeah. See, this is like the huge manipulation, because it went from 30% to then 80% and now 90%, and the markets react based off of that. But also we need to see what America does, because America's going to be the one that will prop up the markets and will give Bitcoin that other leg. We just don't have the data for that. So we need to see the interest rate. We also need to see the dollar weakening. So the reason why Bitcoin and crypto has struggled as well is a strong dollar is not really that good for risk on assets, right? So we need to see the dollar start to weaken. That means, yields will start to come down on the bonds, and we need cheaper borrowing, because you're not going to get it with the yen carry trade anymore. We need cheaper borrowing. We need more people to borrow, and we also have a lot of refinance debt that's coming up from COVID. Which needs to be paid off. And if interest rates are still high and it's more expensive to borrow, then it's going to become a problem. So the Fed's got to do something. Trump's got to do something. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things hanging in the balance here. I know that Trump wants Kevin Hassett in, and he's potentially going to be the new Fed chair. He's wanting to be a lot more easing on the macro side. Yeah. That's good.
Yep.
But it's whether that's going to happen. There's a lot hanging in the balance. So for me, I've got like a 2-month timeline to get enough data for me to make a decision to go, all right, not looking too good here. Liquidity is not looking good. Probably going to go into bear market, or the opposite's true. Actually, things are looking a lot better. We're looking like we're going to get, injections of liquidity somehow. Quantitative easing has been announced. All of that kind of stuff. And then that will give me a good indication to be like, yeah, we've probably got another 6 months now.
But in that case, we'll be in the middle of the bear market, right? And we'll be kind of on our way down 2 months. If this was the start of the bear market, we'll probably be maybe a pullback to say 100, and then it's back down, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think the base case right now is we're looking between 85K to 105K. The reason why I put it at 85 to 84 is because the cost basis for institutions is $84,000.
Yep.
So they've been buying all the way up, all the way down. All the institutions combined, their cost basis, $84,000. So that's a really interesting area to look at.
So you think that would be our low? We wouldn't go much lower than that, you think? Is that what you're...
I think there's a potential for us to capitulate to like 70, 74. But in general, institutions want assets to perform, right? And they know that their cost basis is 84,000.
So you think they would manipulate it to make sure that it stayed above that? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, 84 to 105. If we can, break back above the 50-week EMA, which is around 103,000, and we get, good news, and liquidity looks like it's coming back into the markets, then yeah, I would be more bullish to say there's a continuation.
The interesting thing that I'd heard from that guy, Colin Talks Crypto, was he thought his theory was if we're following the business cycle, that we may have like a shorter bear market now, like a 6-month bear market, and a less, not so much to the downside as we have, since we didn't have that much to the upside. If that was the top, that we would have less to the downside and less volatility and a shorter one, and maybe come down to 60 at the lowest, and then only for 6 months, and then it's up through the rest of the business cycle. What's your thought about that? I mean, it sounds like you're kind of thinking that's...
Yeah, I think that's definitely a probability. I think actually an interesting piece of data is the changing of hands from the OGs to the institutions, and the amount of sell pressure that we've had over the last few weeks. Actually, if you look at it from the same time period as last cycle, that particular correction should have been a 60 to 70% drop because of how intense it was. So actually, the fact that we've only corrected 35% shows that institutions are propping up this market and are actually making the market less volatile, which is really interesting. So yeah, I do think that bear markets now probably not going to see that 70% correction, probably going to see 50%. And I do think that it's likely to be shorter as well.
So that puts us like 75-ish. No, wait, no more. No, like 70, 60, 70, yeah.
Yeah, around that area.
Oh, at least makes me feel somewhat better. If it went back down to like 30, I'd be crying. Yeah.
That would only happen if we have a huge global liquidity crisis.
Yeah. So Lila is now kind of new to, and she's learning more. She's constantly listening to me talk about Bitcoin, but, and listening over my shoulder to all the videos that I play every day. But what's your advice to somebody who's trying to get into Bitcoin, like where to start,
I think the main thing is actually understanding what Bitcoin is and why you should hold it in the first place. So the way that I see Bitcoin now, it's kind of like digital gold. It's a commodity. It's the only global kind of cross-border private monetary system that is essentially on the internet. So there's only 21 million as well. So it's so scarce. There's nothing else in the world that you can say, oh, there's, a set amount. Like you can still find more gold, hidden wherever. So
I just find I saw something where somebody said, this country just found tons more gold. This country just found So Bitcoin, there's only 21 million. And for me personally, I think if you can hold one Bitcoin, you're going to be seen in 20, 30 years. People can be like, oh my God, you have one Bitcoin. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But why would you want to get into Bitcoin?
Well, I think it's just like the future. I think it's a way to have financial freedom in a different way. Right now, we are going through a different stage with tech advancements, that paper money and everything is just going to, even though that's always going to be around, I think that there's going to be different types of advancements that was just good to have crypto and Bitcoin.
You see it as like the future.
I see it as the future of money. That's what I see. Yeah, I feel like so many places are going to start using it, and it's just going to be like a norm. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're just kind of we're still in the beginning of it. But yeah, that's why I think I want to. I would like.
I spend my Bitcoin here. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You spend Bitcoin? Oh my God, I could never.
So all of my money is in Bitcoin. So there isn't, I have no other, and I can't earn money here. So I have to spend it. It's either that or I starve. Like it's all in Bitcoin.
So
or I'm borrowing against it, but I haven't found a way to really do that properly. Like the interest rates that I've seen are kind of too high on it. So.
Morpho's pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. So they have CBDC, which is Coinbase's Bitcoin. It's basically just wrapped Bitcoin. You can borrow against that for like, I don't know, a couple percent, 3%.
Really?
Something like that. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, because they're the biggest, they're the official Coinbase partner now. And they're the ones that are going to be facilitating Bitcoin-backed mortgages as well. So they have to have decent rates.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, for me, my Bitcoin, so I Bitcoin mine as well. I've got Bitcoin miners in Ethiopia and Kazakhstan. So I'm just like essentially just accruing Bitcoin over time every single day, gets sent to my wallet. It's brilliant.
I wish I had that. How'd you get that set up?
So we have a partner of ours. We've partnered with Epic Mining, and everyone that's in our group on our educational platform, they have access to get hold of Bitcoin mining machines. And yeah, they get managed, and there's like over 80,000 machines that they have, and I have a small number of them in Ethiopia. And yeah, they use green energy. They're right next to the second largest like hydro dam in the world. So it's really good for the local economy as well, because the Bitcoin miners come in and they essentially buy up the energy for like 4 times the price of what the locals would get it at. So then they can actually provide locals with cheaper electricity over time, which is super interesting. And then it's all green energy as well.
What's the startup cost? Like, what's the minimum investment to get into something like that?
So each machine, it differs because they change based on supply and demand. So, you know, if you're at a peak bull market, they're going to be more expensive than in a bear market, right? But usually they're around like, you know, $5,000-$6,000 per machine. And
what's the profitability? Like, what's it?
It depends how you view it. So
like, how long does it take to actually pay off the machine and become profitable?
Yeah, I don't know how long it is. I'd have to get the ROI like forecasting sheet up, but the way that I look at it is I'm never selling my Bitcoin anyway, so it doesn't matter about when I get the investment back in USD value, because the Bitcoin's going to be worth way more than that in the next like 20 years. So for me, I'm like, oh, if I can mine, I don't know, 5 or 6 Bitcoin over the next 5 years, then if I'm not willing to sell it until it gets to $1 million a coin, then that's that. But also, even if it got to $1 million a coin, I'm likely going to be borrowing against it anyway to buy other assets. Okay, so let me put it a different way then. So if I got to take out, because I'd be using my Bitcoin to buy it anyway, so if I did 0.05 Bitcoin to get one, how much Bitcoin does it actually mine a year maybe? So I think it's about 0.0037 a month. So I don't know what the maths is on that, but that the knots kind of messed up my brain. 0. So you need a calculator. No, because I'm like, you know me and hearing UK terminology. Oh yeah, 0. Yeah, 0. Sorry guys. I make fun of her Canadian words.
We use a lot of like the British English with in Canada. It is like British English in Canada.
Yeah, like you'll say instead of Z, you'll say Z or something. Z, yeah. And H, you'll say H. Well, yeah. Or like I make fun of her for just saying clotes. I'm like, what's a clote?
Or process.
Clothes.
Instead of process.
Process.
Yeah. Process, yeah. Stuff like that. Like you see some
garage and garage. I use garage.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. We actually have a couple of questions about this topic of Bitcoin and all of this stuff. Especially since I have like people who are interested in crypto that are also watching this. And you've said a couple of things that I've been keeping in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one was the XRP. So before you were trading XRP, are you still trading XRP? And do you think that XRP nowadays is worth it to invest in? Or do you think it's already done?
Oh, okay. It's an interesting question because
Why don't you explain what XRP is first,
okay, what a lot of people think XRP is this new kind of banking system where you can transact money cross-border really quickly, efficiently, and cheaply, which is true. You can do that, and they utilize something called the XRP ledger. It is also, and this is true, their technology, not the crypto, but their technology from Ripple is being utilized a lot to develop the infrastructure for central bank digital currencies, which is a huge topic in terms of you are going to have a digital euro, which is going to get introduced in 2029. They've just confirmed that a couple of weeks ago, that is getting put into place. And XRP's banking settlement system is being integrated. So that's kind of what XRP is. Everyone thinks it's the next revolution of banking. And yes, its technology is being utilized for that. Is that going to reflect with the XRP price? That is up for debate. I currently don't hold XRP and I don't trade XRP anymore. I sold it off before the SEC lawsuit that happened in 2020, and I haven't jumped back in since. I will say that XRP looks a lot better than it did 2 years ago, a lot better than it did. And it also now has its first spot ETF approval, and the institutional inflows are over 800 million right now. So institutions are interested in it, which is a very good sign.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that XRP is not a bad investment, but it's just something that I personally don't want to touch because there's just too many people that think too much about XRP, and that's like a big problem for me. So until I see more institutional flows, and once I see it kind of act more like an institutional product, then I will look at having a percentage of it in my portfolio. But for right now, it's not something that I'm looking at.
That was a very polite answer, because for me, I would have said, fuck XRP. They're for exactly what you said. I mean, it's just, even if XRP went, I have friends that are like, oh, XRP is going to go to the moon. And I was like, I don't care what it does in price for exactly the reason that you said. I wouldn't do it on principle.
Yeah.
Even if I knew right now it's going to go crazy and I can get in and make money, fuck XRP. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a love-hate relationship with XRP, like a massive love-hate relationship with it. Like, congrats to those that bought at 50 cents and it's now up to like $2. Like, good for you guys. That's great. And, 2 years ago, I was definitely not, I was kind of an XRP hater. So don't come for me in the comments for that. But, I will own up to the fact that I wasn't a fan of it. But everything pointed towards XRP being not good at that time. And things have changed. So I'm not going to sit there and be an XRP hater forever when the data is showing something different. And it's showing that it has a lot more potential than it did. But it's just not something that I'm interested in. I think there's a lot more opportunities out there.
I think that when it comes to crypto, it's very interesting too, because the things that people invest in, I also think reflect people's values.
Yep.
So like their life values of what they believe in, because that is also the whole point too. Like, you're not just investing in anything without knowing what you're investing in it. Like, you have to believe in the power of that specific tech and company and everything.
Yeah, I think like you could invest in a company that's pure evil and making money off of sick people, or whatever. You can buy like that guy who bought the pharmaceutical company and then jacked the prices up to, remember that guy? I don't know if you know. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was all over the news because he bought some some pharmaceutical company or product or whatever and jacked it was like the only one. He knew people needed it, so he jacked the prices up or whatever it was. But, I feel like there are people that would do that. But yeah, I feel like I got into Bitcoin because of the control issue. I wanted to be, I'm all about freedom. That's kind of our thing here. And being able to take my money wherever I want, not having anyone have any control over it. And I guess there's less of the anonymity sort of thing. It's there. You can see it, but they can't take it from me.
Yeah.
Like my keys are in my head. No one can take them. I can go anywhere. You can strip me down naked and throw me in the desert. I'll eventually find a computer and get my Bitcoin, you know, but yeah, that's kind of why I'm in it. And that's why I wouldn't be touching something like XRP or any of the CBDC type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The CBDC stuff is super scary. I think if you're in Europe right now, like it's not looking like great.
Yeah.
The UK as well is going down that route in terms of, everything's going to be on the blockchain. Everyone's going to have crypto in 4 to 5 years, whether they know it or not. So understanding Bitcoin, understanding crypto is super important because your whole monetary system is going to be built on crypto, whether they like it or not. So that's going to be super interesting to see the programmability of central bank digital currencies. They can decide certain things, is there going to be a carbon credit system introduced? Is there going to be restrictions? Is there going to be universal base income, which is what everyone's talking about? That'll be issued through CBDCs. What's the restrictions on that?
You've had enough meat, your allotment, you can't have any more. Yeah,
it's like super
scary.
Super, super scary. So that's actually one of the reasons why I like what America's done and what Trump has done for America in terms of cryptocurrency adoption. He's been super pro-crypto, but in a way where he's gone central bank digital currencies, hell no.
Yeah.
We get to create our own stable coins. Now, there's positives and negatives to that. The positive is that there's not a control aspect, which is great. So American freedom, in a sense, from a capital perspective, is there, and you get to decide what stablecoin you want to use. Do you want to use USDC? Do you want to use USDT? There's other companies that are developing their own stablecoin. World Liberty Financial, which is Trump's DeFi project, created USD1. Institutions are probably going to use that. Klarna just announced that they're going to create their own stablecoin, Clara USD. So there's options. You get the ability to choose.
It's not the one by the country. They've made it, and they can decide who gets to use it, who, on what, it's crazy. Yeah. But no, you had a question.
Actually that ties into this politically.
Yep.
The question here is, so when you're trying to understand Bitcoin, crypto, do you think that you also have to learn about politics when you're also learning about crypto? Like, does it tie
or investing in crypto and where the price goes? And
that's an important asset to learning about it.
I wouldn't say politics necessarily, but what you should understand is like your global monetary system. So like how money flows and how it works. So the majority of what you will have to learn is based around the world reserve currency, which is the US dollar. So yeah, you need to look at the politics of that, but it's understanding, the creation of the Federal Reserve, who was behind that. Then you go from a gold-backed USD.
Yeah.
Then in 1971, they got rid of that. So then they moved to a fiscal system. So basically your dollars is backed by nothing. So then they were able to put the money printer on and print as much money as possible because it's backed by nothing. So you need to understand that. Now we've moved into a debt-based system where the dollar is basically backed by US Treasury bills, which is US debt, right? So everything, the whole system is created off of debt and it's backed by debt. That's why these countries have trillions of dollars worth of debt and huge fiscal deficits. And it's understanding that and what the collapse of that looks like. So there's a lot of conversations of, is the US dollar going to continue to be the world reserve currency? BRICS, the yen, like which currency is going to win in the end? It doesn't really matter, because what is going to end up happening is all these currencies are going to get devalued anyway, because all of these countries are printing massive amounts of money, which is backed by massive amounts of debt. And that devaluation of that currency is going to affect your purchasing power, and it's going to affect your income, and it's going to affect everything to do with your day-to-day life. And the only thing that is going to help prop that up is going to be assets, and Bitcoin's going to be probably the number one asset to hedge against that. Because like we talked about before, Bitcoin is intrinsically linked by liquidity 83% of the time. What is liquidity? Money. That's the system.
Mm-hmm.
So you think all the they call it, like all the coins that are out there, altcoins, or the what do you call them, like Tether and USDC and all that, will be backed by Bitcoin? Is that kind of, because I often explain that, maybe it's just a theory of mine, but that they have to back this with something, and that it would be Bitcoin. So is that kind of the way it is, that you have to hold that, so that way they're not just air, as they say,
Essentially, it's kind of like looking at USDT, for example, is backed 77% by cash and cash equivalents. What is that? It's basically 80% of that is US Treasury bills, which is US debt. So the actual USDT stablecoin itself is still government debt. It's still the dollar, right? But what I'm saying is a lot of these dollars, that value is going to be rotated into Bitcoin. So as the devaluation of the dollar happens and your purchasing power goes down, Bitcoin will go up against the dollar and other currencies. So that's kind of and they talk about the hedge against inflation. It's not really a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge against the current system that we're in. And it is cracking it, and it is breaking. Mm-hmm. There's a really interesting book called The Changing of the World Order by Ray Dalio, and he talks about the rise and decline of empires.
Yep. I saw that the video he made.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. And the end of an empire is huge divides and wealth gaps, which is exactly what's happening. Huge amounts of printing of money. And it's a war and a change of monetary system. Now, you can argue, are we already in the wars? Possibly. But the main thing is the change of the monetary system, which is happening before our eyes. This whole monetary system is already changing from this fiscal debt-based policy to now a digital economy, digital crypto, blockchain, all of that. It's all happening before our eyes. The whole system is moving and changing. And it's like, feel like only 1% of the people actually know what's happening and is looking at it going, oh, okay, maybe we should take advantage of this. Mm-hmm. The rest of the world is just like, all right.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I heard a couple of theories about that, Trump and the administration may use Bitcoin in a similar way that they did gold in the 70s, where they basically kind of force you to sell your Bitcoin back to the government, and then the way they revalued the gold, was that way? Not the 70s, it was the 30s. When did they outlaw gold? That was like
they did do it in the 30s.
30s. So, and that was and then once they got the gold, they said, okay, we're gonna buy back the gold at this price. And then when they did, then they revalued everything, and that they may do something similar with Bitcoin to get rid of the debt. What's your thoughts on that?
So I do think that America, Trump, and the government will utilize Bitcoin in some way. The first thing that they want to do is create a national Bitcoin strategic reserve. I mean, they already have one, but it's about adding to that now, which is a huge thing. And that's going to, as Bitcoin goes up, then that's going to give them some kind of lever there, which will be super interesting. to see. There's also a thing called bit bonds that they're trying to put through, which is essentially a way to get people to buy bonds, but then it's levered with a percentage of Bitcoin in there.
I heard something about that. That was kind of confusing, but because it was only like a bit of it was Bitcoin or something.
Yeah, so a lot of these sort of Bitcoin-based products are going to come out now.
Yeah.
I think JP Morgan's just bought a new fund that is going to be levered with, a Bitcoin-type product. There's basically all of these, like, people are going to try and utilize Bitcoin so they can have the upside of it, but then let it be a little bit less risky because there's less downside because it's backed by something else.
Yeah.
So that's what bit bonds is. It's like, you can get access to Bitcoin, but because you're buying the bonds, there's less of a downside to it. And that's a way that America can buy Bitcoin and also get people to buy government debt at the same time. So it's a double bubble kind of thing.
Yeah. I heard about that.
So that's one way that they can utilize Bitcoin. And
I don't know why we're not using the gold to get, because the gold is what, like, on the books at like a lower price at the like $30 an ounce or something like that, or isn't it something like that? Like that's what I heard. Had you heard that? That the gold that the U.S. has is on the books at the price. Like when they price the gold, it's still at that level of $30, something like that, like $30 or $40 an ounce. But if they sold gold for the Bitcoin, like I heard that one where it was a good way to do it, because then we start getting out of gold and get more into Bitcoin, and then
I think it's a good idea to hold gold. So I'm not a Bitcoin versus gold. I'm a Bitcoin and gold kind of person. I'm like, I want to hold both. China's buying up an insane amount of gold right now. That's the reason why gold's going on a massive rally, is because, not that you can see it on the books, but China's buying a load of gold. There's also the theory that the Fort Knox situation, that they might not actually have as much gold as they say they do. So that's another thing that's like relatively concerning. If they do an audit and we find out that there's not as much gold as they say that there is, then that's going to be a problem. And that's probably why they're rushing to something like Bitcoin, because it is digital gold and it's, some form of commodity that that will, go up over time and have some form of stability there. So yeah, I'm a hold both kind of girl, because gold does correlate with Bitcoin a lot, but not all of the time. So it's good to have it when Bitcoin corrects. Gold also tends to hold its value a little bit more. So I don't think it is either or. I think we should have both.
Makes sense. Well, we only have a few more minutes here, so I wanted to get, we have a few
questions?
A rapid fire. Or
the rapid fire.
Because these ones will keep it kind of, the answers a little shorter, but
sure.
But our typical one, our one we ask everybody.
Oh yeah, it's okay. What does freedom mean to you?
God. Freedom to me is to be able to have the ability to live wherever you want in the world, and have the freedom to have access to capital wherever you are. That's freedom for me.
Sounds like Bitcoin.
Exactly. And a good passport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, freedom is kind of our thing here. It's like, it's all about freedom living for us, whether it's through health or financial or anyway, being able to be in Bali is free for me. It's like,
Bali is freedom.
Yeah.
I think, definitely. It's the most free I've felt ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's the most misunderstood idea in crypto right now?
That it's still a scam.
Yeah.
Tell it to my dad. I think he's coming around.
No, he's coming
He's
around.
coming
He
around.
said he's going to buy Bitcoin. So that's good. It's different from before. He was always telling him, you got to sell every time.
Every time I say, Dad, it's up to 100,000. He's like, you better sell it. Or it's going down to, it comes back down here. He's like, oh, she was messaging her to say, you need to convince Frankie to sell his Bitcoin
just a couple of weeks ago.
Before it loses.
Now he's like, he calls us and he's like,
I might buy some Bitcoin.
I love that.
I told him, I kept telling him, like, the previous cycle, like, because I was buying Bitcoin at around when it dropped down to 16,000. That's when I really was getting more into it. And I was like, you should get into it. And he's like, I'll buy some when it goes down to 5,000. I'm like, you're never going to buy Bitcoin. And if you do, it'll be like 100,000 a coin or something. And now he's starting to maybe get some.
85K. Not bad.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You get the price you deserve. Isn't that what they say? I think Michael Saylor was saying that.
Okay, so what do you like about Bali?
Oh my God, everything. Everything. I think Bali has some of the best food I've ever had in my entire life. It has some of the best people. The Indonesians are amazing. And also just the digital nomads here have got such a awesome mentality, and they're the only type of people that we really understand each other, and we all have the same kind of mindset. As in back home, it's not the same. And the health and wellness here, incredible. The gyms, unreal.
Yeah, everybody in shape.
Everyone's in shape
healthy.
because you want to be in shape.
Exactly. Yeah,
such a cool place to hang out. When I first arrived in Bali, I literally spent 10 hours a day in my gym. Crazy. So
they're a little expensive, the gyms, but they have
worth every penny.
Yeah.
Always worth every penny.
Do you think it's also a good place to meet people, going to the gym?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I met my entire friend group in the gym.
Yeah.
Which gym is that, or do you not want to say? But
so I can say because I don't go there anymore. I was at Nirvana.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's where, yeah.
Oh, so good. It's just the
It's more of a social club than a gym these days. It's like,
Everybody goes there. When we go to Black Sand, I would mingle with people and stuff, and everyone was talking about Nirvana.
That's where we met, wasn't it?
yeah, Black Sand. Well, I'm there every
He's always there. He's
the
always
next Friday. Yeah, that's
he owns the pool table there.
Oh,
Stays
sure I bet you
yeah.
buy
let's
the pool
play-
table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went because I went to the chalk for your hands. I went to go grab it off the table. I was like, wait, you're the Bitcoin girl that I watch or I follow. I was like, holy shit. Hold on, I gotta make this shot. Yeah.
So everybody talks about the crypto bros and all of that, but I think it's so interesting and so cool to see women in crypto and Bitcoin.
I mean, there's not many of us.
There's not many.
There's probably 5.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool to see more females get into crypto. I think females in general should just learn about investing. It's not just crypto or Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Everyone should learn about money and the rules of our lives. So yeah, for sure. Well,
I think that was the last bit of it. Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Ciao, ciao.